The world was collapsing.
I did not realize how fast things were going to go south.
What none of us really knew was how much worse was it going to get.
In the history of finance, September 15, 2008 is a date that will live in infamy. It was then that here behind me, one of the largest, most storied investment banks collapsed. Lehman Brothers became the casualty of a wave of soured subprime mortgages and the complex financial instruments that packaged them together. Lehman's bankruptcy triggered what we now know as the Great Financial Crisis.
What happened in September of 2008 with the fall of Lehman was preceded by quite a bit of volatility and weakness and the failure of Bear Stearns.
Bear Stearns today leading the tumble on Wall Street. The stock plunging 45%.
6 months before Lehman's collapse, Bear Stearns received an emergency loan from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Bear Stearns couldn't be saved and was sold in a fire sale to rival JP Morgan Chase.
JP Morgan, along with the Fed, was going to be bailing out Bear Stearns for $2 a share. This is a stock that recently was trading at 80. Last year was trading at 160. It is the fifth biggest bank on Wall Street.
Well, leading into the early fall of 2008, we knew there were things happening in the markets, especially in the mortgage market, that weren't good.
But then there was this sort of almost immediate, oh my God, credit markets, not only in Wall Street, but in Australia, are going to freeze up.
I remember having dinner with friends in Los Angeles on Friday evening and getting an urgent phone call from a colleague at AIG in New York saying, there's things we've got to deal with urgently, take the next red eye back here. I was given a very limited but important task, which was to sell a very major subsidiary of our AIG Life and Retirement segment by Monday morning.
Really, I believe it was a Sunday that things came to a kind of a crashing halt. It was the back-to-school picnic, and I was a volunteer. And my BlackBerry at the time was buzzing like crazy.
I was about to sit down with Greg Curl, who was the lead negotiator for Bank of America, and try to negotiate the sale of Merrill Lynch to Bank of America. And as I'm walking back, I'm thinking to myself, if I don't get this negotiation right, it's possible this firm isn't going to make it through the next couple of days. And we have 65,000 employees, and it's been around for 95 years. And you could feel the weight of what we were about to do.
And as the sun started to set on Wall Street, and as our deal to try to sell our major subsidiary faded away, I noticed that it didn't really get dark outside. All of Wall Street, all of the city seemed lit up. And it seemed to be just as many people coming and going in and out of office buildings that Sunday evening and night as if it was the middle of the day on a work day.
It was a manic Monday in the financial markets. The Dow tumbled more than 500 points after two pillars of the street tumbled over the weekend.
The week of September 15th roiled U.S. markets. Investors panicked amid the uncertainty, unsure of which financial institutions were safe and which were at risk.
The stock market was really going down. People were shorting financial stocks, and my wife calls and said, "How's your day, dear?" And I said, "The banking system's going to collapse, and it's going to be like the Depression." But she said, "Well, does Hank know it? Hank Paulson." So I called Hank's office somewhere around 4 o'clock that Thursday, and he said, "Well, what do you think we should do?" I said, "You should assume you're sort of like the sheriff in the western town, and the cowboys all went into the saloon and they came out drunk, and your job is to shoot that gun up in the air and freeze everybody."
Merrill Lynch was sold to Bank of America. The Fed took over AIG for $85 billion. The following week, Washington Mutual declared bankruptcy, and a $700 billion Wall Street bailout package was presented to Congress.
This action plan provides a coherent framework that will direct our individual and collective policy steps to provide liquidity to markets, strengthen financial institutions, protect savers, and enforce investor protections.
On this vote, the yeas are 263, the nays are 171. The motion is adopted.
But Wall Street would never be the same. Regulators handcuffed banks with stringent capital requirements, and Wall Street took on an air of prudence. But memories are short, and market cycles are powerful, even inevitable phenomena.
you.